Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano catch up where every Friday we take a look back at the main news, items, events that caught my eye in the Cardano ecosystem over the last week. If I'm missing anything, do let me know in the comments. Even leave a comment for the algorithm. I do appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. Share it out if you think others can benefit. And don't forget to give the video a like. Let's jump into it. Okay, starting out with Cardano 360, which happened yesterday. The main topics were the community workshop and SIP 1694 roundtable, which happened in Colorado. So this was the event where members of the community and members of IOG got together to talk all about governance and how it is going to happen on Cardano. Talked about that in a few videos already, but there is this forum post here with a bit of a summary and a few links to resources that were created out of this. In the Cardano 360 last night, it went through kind of snapshots from the event, talking to different people that were in attendance. And then there was also the on-chain governance roundtable highlights with Charles and a few others talking about their main takeaways from the event as well. So links to all of that will be below. Now there was a community meeting yesterday on this. It was on Zoom. I didn't get to attend, but if there is a replay of that, I will be sure to share that out on Twitter or mention it here in my next video. Next up was wanchain and the interoperability solutions they are building or helping to build for Cardano. So wanchain's cross-chain bridges are live on Cardano pre-production. So this will allow you to move ADA or ADA native assets to EVM chains or move ERC20 tokens to Cardano. I haven't got to test out the bridge yet because it was only announced yesterday, but by next week I'll hopefully be able to test all of that out on testnet. But they do give an introduction to it here and talk a bit about how it's going to work and some of the key features of it. Next up was peer-to-peer, and that was Duncan. That was showing Duncan's video. I showed some of the video last week and shared the links for that one, talking all about how dynamic peer-to-peer is going to work for Cardano going forward and the advantages of that for relays and nodes and how they connect between each other. Then we had someone on from Aiken talking about this is a new programming language to build smart contracts on Cardano. Talked about this a few times at this point, and I'm going to talk about it later in this video with Aada Finance. But they were on talking and giving an introduction to it and how it works and some of the advantages of it. So definitely worth checking out if you haven't come across it yet. Then we had Marvin on from Genius Yields talking about CBIA, or introducing us to the, what's the full name? Cardano Blockchain Infrastructure Alliance. So a new alliance for developers on Cardano, trying to bring together the best resources for people that are building on Cardano. So you'll see some familiar names there, and I would expect this to grow over time. So if you are developing on Cardano or building tools that will help other developers, make sure you do get involved with what they are doing over there. Then we had Lena from Clay Nation on talking about what's going on with their project, talking about the integration with Sandbox and a few other bits that they have coming this year. They closed it out then with a mention of Hydra, and Hydra actually had their monthly meeting for March. I watched this the other day, and it talked all about how Hydra has evolved. It showed a demo of Hydra. There is a Hydra head open on mainnet, and talked about Hydra for payments. I will leave a link to this one below for anyone that wants to take a look at it and dive deeper into it. If people want to see, I will try and see, can I get someone who has a deeper understanding of Hydra and the possibilities of it? I'll try and bring someone like that onto the channel for an interview. But there's definitely going to be some interesting use cases coming out of this. I'm looking forward to seeing, as the dApps dive into this, to see how they can integrate it as a scaling solution for some of the individual use cases that they have. That was it for Cardano 360. Up next, we have the thread from Sebastian. Sebastian's been on the channel here a few times, and I might need to get him on fairly soon to dive deeper into this one too. So he says that Cardano will be the top EVM chain next month. So Milkomeda, Cardano's EVM layer, is launching a feature allowing every Cardano user to use EVM contracts directly from any Cardano wallet. And this will be done all in pure ADA. So on a high level, this is looking at the solution that Milkomeda have created for wrapped smart contracts. So they will be able to wrap smart contracts on EVM chains, and you will be able to use them through your Cardano wallet. So this could open up access to a lot more dApps and a lot more ways for people to use their ADA. As we get more information, or as it comes out on testnet and mainnet, you can be sure I'll be doing demos and walkthroughs of how it all works there, and maybe sit down for a chat with Sebastian fairly soon. Next up, we have the announcement from Aada Finance that V2 is getting close, and V2 will be using pooled lending rather than peer-to-peer, which they initially launched with. As far as I know, both will still be options, but I think pooled will become the more popular one. And V2 is also going to be done using Aiken. So Aiken will be used for Aiken. I'm still not sure on the pronunciation. It will be used for the smart contract language. And it's great to see projects or dApps launching now using Aiken on the mainnet for Cardano. So I don't think there was a date on the actual launch yet, but there is some differences to what you might be familiar with other pooled lending platforms. So if you look at Liquid Finance, they are the ones that decide what assets are allowed to be used on the system. But from what I can see here, it will be completely open to the community to create a pool for any asset that they want. I might do a follow-up video on this, or maybe even try and talk to the team to get more of an understanding of how this works rather than diving into it here. But one of the key features, and Alexander actually highlighted here, thanks to Alexander for answering lots of questions yesterday, talked about it here, that anybody can create the pool when it launches. So you can create a pool for Aada or World Mobile or whatever assets you want, and others can come in and take loans from that. But if you are the one to create the initial pool, then you get an NFT to verify the pool ownership, and also a delegation NFT. So this means that you will be the one that decides where the ADA that sits in that pool or that smart contract, where that ADA is delegated. So for people who want to help support specific stake pools in the network, or if you run a stake pool yourself, then there's a big incentive to be the one that owns the actual initial pool, the NFT for that. You will never have access to the ADA, but you have access to decide where that ADA gets delegated. So I'll dive deeper into that on another follow-up video, and we'll stick to the high level here. But congrats to Aada Finance, and great to see things progressing. So then we have another announcement for developers, and that is that we now have an open source PAB on Cardano, and that's coming from Genius Yield, Well-Typed, MLabs, and JoinPlank. They have built a PAB. They've called it Atlas, and it's open source, which is a huge step for developers on Cardano. Now, the PAB, people will be familiar with it if you're in Cardano for a while now. The Plutus application backend, 18 months ago, there was a lot of talk about this, what IOG were building, and it was going to help a lot of projects because this handles a lot of the direct interaction with the Cardano blockchain, and it kind of faded away. And some dApps, or any dApps that launched, built their own versions or workarounds. But the PAB, in short here, they have this one that says the PAB, what it handles is transaction building, transaction balancing, which is the coin selection, V2 script Vassal functionalities, your reference inputs, your scripts, inline datums, and it's also data provider agnostic. So what this means for anyone coming in to build on Cardano now, you can use this, maybe make some modifications if you need to, but this will take out a lot of the initial work of interacting with the Cardano blockchain and interacting with wallets, especially dApps that are looking to have a lot of transactions in and out, or even the likes of what we talked about there, Aada Finance. They would have to have some version of the PAB. I don't know, they're probably not using this. When you look at the article, it does talk about, that's what we showed in the post there, and they say World Mobile are one of the first that are using this to help advance their own technology. So it's a great step to see that we finally have the PAB, and with the likes of this and also the alliance that was announced, it's great to see that the tooling and infrastructure for developers building on Cardano is getting better and better all the time. So away from developers then, and David announced here about he's looking forward to the release of the Education Alpha program. This is something that was talked about last year around the Cardano Summit. And the initial people, the initial alpha testers, were able to sign up during the summit. Haven't seen when this will be available publicly yet, but definitely keep an eye out for it if you're looking to learn more in around the blockchain and in around, I think, how Cardano works, as well as cryptocurrency in general. An announcement during the week as well, Midnight, which is the privacy sidechain being built for Cardano by IOG. They now have a new CEO, Aaron Barrick, and looks like he's coming in with a lot of experience from the fintech industry and growing companies up from very small up to fairly large industries. So it's great to see they have someone so experienced coming in and bringing in the financial industry experience. Midnight is something that I'm really looking forward to hearing more about, and more about how it's going to interact with the Cardano L1. Haven't seen a huge amount of information about it yet, or launch dates, but as usual, as soon as I get them kind of things, I will put them out here. We also seen that Frederik from the Cardano Foundation, the CEO of the Cardano Foundation, was in London last week talking with policymakers and stakeholders all about blockchain in the UK and how it's progressing or where the future of it is going to go. So it's great to see the Cardano Foundation keeping up with what's going on there and maybe having some input there, because that's what I say, that these policies are going to come into place anyway, and it's up to people with the knowledge of cryptocurrency to come in and talk about how cryptocurrency can actually help and what will be good for innovation and what mightn't be so good for innovation. So good to see Frederik is keeping his head in there. He's definitely another guy I need to try and sit down with fairly soon. So outside of Cardano directly as well, we seen Charles put out a video during the week talking about the paper Cooper and Kirk Choke Point 2.0. Well worth a watch if you're interested in what's going on with potentially the government's trying to choke out crypto with cutting off some of the banking sector, which will be the fiat on and off ramps. And this is a law firm in the US, in Washington, Cooper and Kirk, with Operation Choke Point 2.0, the federal bank regulators come for crypto. So this looks into it from the legal standpoint of how the government really seems to be targeting banks that have links to cryptocurrency when there are probably hundreds of other banks out there that are also insolvent or unable to fulfill customer withdrawals. And it's definitely an interesting look. And if you don't want to read through the paper, you can always check out Charles's video where he goes through some of the main points in it. So then another political one, or kind of political, is Elizabeth Warren is building an anti-crypto campaign. Or she's building an anti-crypto army, and this is part of her campaign for election. I don't think long term this is going to go down too well for her. This is like someone in the 90s building their campaign on being anti-internet and that they're out there to try and stop the internet. That is the equivalent that I see this one. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out long term for her. I hope this video has been useful for you. If it has, please do share it out. If you're around crypto tomorrow, be very careful. April Fool's Day, sometimes you get announcements that people take as serious, but they're not really serious. So always double check or triple check tomorrow what you are reading into if you're making any decisions based on that. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.